Buenas. The Committee on Rules is called back to order. It is 12:30 Chamorro Standard Time on Thursday, March 7th. We're continuing from a recess yesterday at noon. Rules of engagement for the meeting. The chair will recognize a member who raises their hand to make a motion. The chair will rule a member out of order if they have not been recognized by the chair. The chair will also note that a second to a motion is not required. The Court Director, Ms. Cameron Nelson, will now call the roll of members.
Chairperson Senator Barnett.
Gaigizo.
Vice Chairperson Senator Perez. Speaker Terlahi. Vice Speaker Munya Barnes. Senator Shelton. Senator Parkinson. Senator Kanata. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Nicolas. Senator Brown. Senator Duenas. Senator Fisher. Senator Teidigui. Mr. Chair, there is a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Director. Recognize my Vice Chair on the motion to excuse members not present.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Any objection? None. Motion passes. Colleagues, the core meeting minutes can be found on the Google Drive folder dated 3/6/24, labeled 3, approval of 37 Guam Legislature core meeting minutes. The Chair will now recognize the Vice Chair on a motion to approve the core meeting minutes for the February 7, 2024 meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to accept the core minutes, subject to any corrections.
Any objection? None. Motion passes. We'll now move on to item number 4 on the core agenda, document tracking. I'll recognize our Legislative Secretary, Senator Amanda Shelton, who has prepared the document tracking. And again, colleagues, these documents are available in the Google Core Meeting Drive dated March 6, 2024. Senator Shelton?
Sedus Masi, Mr. Chair, Hafaday colleagues. The Legislative Secretary reports to date are as follows. Appointments by the Governor. There are 78 appointments submitted by Governor Leon Guerrero to date. 1 appointment confirmed during the March 2023 session. 1 appointment confirmed during the March 27, 2023 session. 4 appointments during the April session. 3 appointments during the May session. 7 appointments during the June session. 6 appointments during the July session. 12 appointments during the October session, 3 appointments during the November session, 8 appointments during the January 2024 session, and 8 appointments confirmed during the February 2024 session. That is a total of 53 appointments confirmed by our body. And of the remaining 25 appointments, there are pending confirmations, 5 withdrawals, and 5 have extended beyond the 90-day authorized deadline. There is 1 zone change request at this time. There are 6 rules and regulations requests at this time. 3 bills have been introduced and are now law. Those are Bill 93-37, now Public Law 3739. Bill 92-37, now Public Law 3738. And Bill 149-37, Public Law 3741. 2 have lapsed by default. There are four registered lobbyists, and that is my report for today.
Thank you very much, Senator Shelton. We'll now move on to the next item on the agenda, sub-item B, ratification of referrals. Re-referrals. Colleagues, these documents can be found in the Google Drive folder labeled 04B, legislative item logs. Does the chair hear a motion to ratify the referral of bill number 234-37COR through 249-37COR and 251-37LS and 252-37LS? Thank you, Vice Speaker. Any objections? None. Motion passes. We'll now move on to items cleared for the consideration of the session agenda. Committee reports for the following items have been duly filed with the Committee on Rules. Colleagues, I'd like to note the following committee reports that have been filed with the Committee on Rules and are available on our legislative website for review and public view. And then you could see the list of bills on the agenda. In addition, colleagues, you've been provided with a list of bills that were cleared by CORE as of prior to the meeting. Any motion to add, Vice Speaker?
Add on to the agenda, Mr. Chair. I do have a resolution and a bill, so I'll go ahead and start with the resolution. Request for placement of resolution number 311 dash 37. Mr. Chair, thank you so much again. I just wanted to reiterate a request that I made to the Speaker to place onto the agenda resolution number 311-37 COR, sponsored by myself, Tina Rose Muñoz Barnes, Senators Christopher Dueñas, Senator Lahan, Senator Roy Canata, Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas, Senator Frank Bosch Jr., and Senator Joe San Augustine. It's relative to supporting the participation of the Republic of China, Taiwan, as an observer of the World Health Organization's 77th World Health Assembly, and to reaffirm support for the participation of the Republic of China, Taiwan, as observer in the international organizations. Mr. Chair, this is in accordance with 2 GCA Section 2103B, which reads, no substantive resolution that is to be transmitted to the U.S. President, a member of U.S. Congress, or the head of a foreign state may be passed by the legislature in Guahan unless it has received a public hearing. Said public hearing shall be conducted by the primary author of the resolution. The resolution may then be placed on the legislature's agenda upon a written request of the primary author to the Speaker without further committee action or without a committee report. Mr. Chair, resolution number 311-37 COR did have its public hearing on March 5th, 2024. It was at 10 in the morning. A draft author's report was also attached to the request, but we are waiting for a couple of documents from our advertisement to include in our report. This resolution is similar to the resolutions we did last year and in previous terms. With that being said, Mr. Chair, I hope my colleagues will support the placement, and I move to place resolution 311-37 COR onto the session agenda during session, and I hope resolution number 311-37 will be noted in session notices. Cesar Masi, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. On the motion, any objection?
No objection.
None. The motion passes. Vice Speaker, you're still recognized.
Mr. Chair, I also want to place into the session agenda during this session month Bill number 176-37 COR as amended by the Committee on Emergency Response, Border Safety, Military, and Veterans Affairs and Mayor's Council of Guam, introduced by myself. It's an act to amend Section 73151 of Article 1, Chapter 73, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, and to add a new Section 73127.1, Section 73104.1, Section 73104.2, Section 73104.3, and Section 73104.4 to Article 1 of Chapter 73, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, relative to authorizing the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency, the CQA, to adopt and implement a customs automated system and the harmonized commodity and coding system, which is the HCCS. This bill did have a public hearing, Mr. Chair, and the committee report is uploaded, and it's on the list that was appended to this agenda this morning. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thanks Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas's committee for literally working with me to include the issues and concerns that happen within the community and the chamber. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for that placement.
Vice Speaker, on the motion, any objection? Hearing none.
I'd just like to,
Speaker Terlahi, you're
I just
recognized.
wanted to state that the legislature had previously passed legislation to authorize customs to implement an automated review process to enhance their enforcement. And this as well is going to enhance their enforcement capabilities, and that it's through these legislations that customs is able to do these things, and we're hoping they're going to be able to catch, more illegal drugs, that they're going to be able to enhance any fees that they're entitled to, right? User fees that the government's entitled to. I'm just stating this because the governor in her State of the Island address made a big deal about implementing these things, but I want to thank the senators for really doing the work to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'd like to also just add that I've spoken to a few customs officers who definitely support this measure. So, on the motion, again? Motion passes. Speaker Talai, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move to place Bill 242 as amended by the Committee on Health, Land, Justice, and Culture. It's an act to amend sections 21101, 1102, 1104, 21107, and 1115, all of Chapter 21, Title 10, Guam Code annotated. These are relative to sanitary permit requirements. 242.
On the motion? No objection, motion passes. Speaker Talai?
Yeah, I'd like to move to place Resolution 171-37LS as amended by the author. It's relative to expressing the support of Eminente Siete na Legislature in Guahan for amendment of the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act to include the people of Guam as downwinders of U.S. Pacific nuclear test sites, to extend the claims period and improve compensation and benefits. This is a resolution that, if passed, will go to Congress. United States Congress.
Yes, the Speaker. I'd like to just add that the Biden administration just came out with a policy statement that supports the addition of Guam into this effort. So on the motion, any objection? No objection. All right. Motion passes. Speaker Talai? Okay. Senator...
Mr. Chair,
Senator Roy?
I move to place Bill 174-37 Core as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics and Research and Planning, introduced by Roy A.B. Canata, Joe S. San Augustine, Sabina Flores Perez, Therese M. Terlahi, Chris Barnett, Dwayne T. D. San Nicholas, Amanda L. Shelton, Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, William A. Parkinson, Tomas J. Fisher, an act to amend subsection 3101M 1 of Article 1, Chapter 3, Title 16, Guam Code annotated relative to extending the validity of driver's licenses issued to align with the maximum renewal period allowed under Real ID Act. It was filed with CORE on February 6, 2024 at 4:08 p.m. and it is available online.
27.
On the motion?
No objection.
Motion passes.
Mr.
Senator
Chair,
Kanata.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I move to place Bill number 214-37 Core as as introduced by Roy A.B. Kanata and Joe S. San Augustine, an act to amend subsection 11115, Chapter 11, Title 3, Guam Code annotated relative to tabulated and published write-in votes, filed with CORE on February 16, 2024 at 10:21 a.m.
On the motion?
No objection.
No objection, motion passes. Senator?
Mr. Chair, I move to place Bill number 215-37 Core as introduced Roy A.B. Canata, Joe S. San Augustine, an act to amend 1903E, Chapter 19, Title 1, Guam Code annotated, and to amend subsection 30101, Chapter 30, Title 5, Guam Code annotated relative to the election and qualification process for the office of the Guam Public Auditor and the Attorney General of Guam. Filed with CORE February 16, 2024 at 3:39 p.m.
On the motion? No objection, motion passes. Senator Kanata?
Mr. Chair, I move to place Bill number 216-37 Core as introduced by Roy A.B. Canata, Joe S. San Augustine, an act to amend subsection 9112 of Chapter 9, Title 3, Guam Code relative to enforcement of electioneering and polling at places. Filed with CORE on February 16, 2024 at 10:51 a.m.
On the motion?
No objection.
Motion passes. Senator Kanata?
Mr. Chair, just a side note, all of these bills are relative to Guam Election Commission. So I move to place Bill 217-37 as introduced by Roy A.B. Canata and Joe S. San Augustine, an act to amend 14015 of Chapter 14, Title 3, Guam Code annotated relative to provisional ballots. Filed with CORE February 16, 2024 at 3:27 p.m.
On the motion? No objection, motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I move to place Bill number 218-37 Core as introduced by Roy A.B. Canata, Joe S. San Augustine, an act to amend subsection 3104, 3105, 3110, an act to add a new subsection 31021G, Chapter 3, Title 3, Guam Code annotated, an act to add subsection 3101.3G, Chapter 3, Title 16, Guam Code annotated, relative to extending the term and appointment of registration clerk and the times of registration. Filed with CORE February 16, 2024 at 11:51 a.m.
Mr. Chair, if I could just ask the sponsor to help us by letting us know. These bills are all the ones recommended by the Guam Election Commission
Correct.
and endorsed by them in their current form?
Correct. And it was reviewed by their legal counsel. ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senator Kadata, on the motion?
No.
No objection, motion passes. Senator Kanata.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move to place 233-37 core as amended by the Committee on General Government Operations and Appropriations, introduced by Roy A.B. Kanata, an act to add and amend subsection 17116 of the repeal 17118, Chapter 17, Title 3, Guam Code annotated relative to changing preliminary reporting and quarterly reports and eliminating final and supplementary reports, filed with CORE on February 16, 2024 at 9:45 a.m.
Senator Kanata, I think you might have said the wrong bill?
233-37.
233-37? Okay. On the motion? No objection, motion passes. Senator Kanata, Tatlumbihay.
One more, be what tomorrow. Mr. Chair, I move to place bill number 219-37 core as introduced by Roy A.B. Kanata and Joe S. San Augustine, an act to amend subsection 117 and to add to the subsection 1123, Chapter 1, Title 3, Guam Code annotated relative to changing a precinct to a district and defining the name of a candidate or nominee, filed with CORE February 16, 2024 at 10:01 a.m.
On the motion? No objection, motion passes. Senator Paris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place Bill 119-37 COR as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue, and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research, and Planning, sponsored by Senator Sabina Flores Perez and Senator Chris Barnett. It's an act to repeal Article 14 of Chapter 5, Title 5, Guam Code annotated, and to add a new Part G of Article 2, Chapter 5, Title 5, Guam Code annotated, relative to revitalizing the Guam Procurement Advisory Council to modernize procurement in order to promote public confidence and achieve best value and service to our community, onto the session agenda.
On the motion? No objection, motion passes. Senator Paris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place Bill 133-37 COR as amended by the Committee on Infrastructure, Economic Development, Simon Sanchez High School, Disability Services, Self-Determination, and Historic Preservation, Housing, Public Accountability, and the Guam Buildup, sponsored by Senator Sabina Flores Perez, Speaker Teresa M. Terlahi, Senator Chris Barnett, an act to add a new Section 48307 to Article 3, Chapter 48, Title 21, Guam Code annotated relative to allowing tenants to make repairs to weatherheads and weatherhead posts following storms in cases where landlords are unable to act expeditiously. Onto the session agenda.
On the motion? No objection, motion carries. Senator Paris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place Bill 194-37 LS as amended. 194, this is on, it was cleared last core session or prior, or right after. It's as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue, and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research, and Planning, sponsored by Senator Sabina Flores Perez, Speaker Teresa Terlahi, and Senator Chris Barnett. It's an act to amend Section 6102L of Article 1 and amend 6209C of Article 2, Section 6306 and 6308 of Article 3, 6401, 6402, and 6405 of Article 4, 6603 of Article 6, all of Chapter 6, Title 11, Guam Code annotated, relative to updating the definition of electronic cigarettes and fines and penalties for tobacco and nicotine violations. Onto the session agenda.
On the motion? No objection, motion carries. Senator Paris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place Bill 195-37 LS as amended by the Committee on Health. Sorry, this is actually by the Committee on Environment, Revenue, and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research, and Planning. It's 195-37 LS. Sponsored by Senator Sabina Flores Perez, Speaker Teresa Terlahi, and Senator Chris Barnett. It's an act to amend 6102 of Article 1 and to add a new Section 6408, 6409 to Article 4, all of Chapter 6, Title 11, Guam Code annotated relative to regulating tobacco and electronic cigarette advertisements. And this is all to address the epidemic of electronic cigarette use amongst our youth. Onto the session agenda.
Senator Paris, on the motion? No objection, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place 165-37 COR as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research and Planning, sponsored by Senator Sabina Flores Perez, Chris Barnett, Speaker Therese Terlahi, Senator Dwayne T.D. Nicholas, and Senator Joe Esten Augustine, to act to add a new Article 10 and a new Section 51A 120C of all of Chapter 51A, Title 10, and a new Section 14104P to Chapter 14, Title 12, Guam Code annotated relative to establishing the Guam Solid Waste Island-wide Collection Plan.
On
To
the
the session agenda.
On the motion.
165.
No objection. Motion carries.
One more on behalf of Senator Tadegui. I would like to add Bill number 213-37, COR, sponsored by Senator Talati Tadegui, Senators 213, Senators Joanne Brown, Jesse A. Lujan, William A. Parkinson, Chris Barnett, Sabina Flores Perez, Frank Blas Jr., and Speaker Therese M. Terlahi. It's an act to add a new item, looks like L, to paragraph C of Section 1909 of Chapter 19, Title 1 of the Guam Code annotated relative to the duties of the public auditor onto the session agenda. Bill number 213-37.
On the motion to add Bill number 213-37 to the session agenda.
The title is to add a new item. It's the public auditor. Basically, it's relative to the duties of the public auditor.
On the motion, is there any objection? Hearing none, motion carries.
Are we on the
No, we're still on the
nominations?
bills. Senator San Augustine, you're recognized. 105. Right here. 105. 105. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to add Bill 1, is it on?
Yeah.
Bill 105-37 LS as amended by the Committee on Education, Public Safety and Arts, introduced by myself, Senator Joe Esten Augustine, act to add a new section 4124B3 of Chapter 4, Title 17, Guam Code annotated relative to adding school and village beautification as part of the requirements of student service learning hours.
On the motion? No objection, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to appointments. Senator Shelton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to add the appointment of Michelle Merfallen to serve as the youth member of the Guam Visitors Bureau Board of Directors to serve at the pleasure of the governor.
On the motion? No objection, motion carries. Senator Shelton?
And I move to place the appointment of Faye Valencia Avales to serve as a member of the Port Authority of Guam Board of Directors for a term of 3 years until June 30th, 2026.
On the motion, no objection, motion carries. Senator Perez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place the nomination of Stephen Carrera as a member of the Guam Environmental Protection Board of Directors onto the session agenda.
On the motion, no objection.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also move to place the nomination of Francis A. Castro as a member of the Guam Environmental Protection Agency Board of Directors as well.
Yeah.
Onto the session agenda.
Thank you, Senator Perez. On the motion, no objection, motion carries.
Also like to place the nomination of Angie Taitigui. As a director of the Guam Council on the Arts and Humanities Agency.
On the motion, no objection, motion carries. Senator Perez.
And I also like to place onto the session agenda Paul B. Mendiola as a member of the Guam Council on the Arts and Humanities Agency Board of Directors onto the session agenda.
On the motion, no objection, motion carries.
Thank you.
Senator Kanata.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to add Ms. Sandra Berdialio for the Guam Housing Corporation Board of Members.
On the motion, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Does the chair hear a motion to adopt the session agenda? Okay. Any objection? Motion carries. There's no extension of remarks, right? Correct. Does the chair hear a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
All right. No objection. The Committee on Rules hereby adjourns this meeting at 12:57 Chamorro Standard Time. Thank you for your attendance and participation at today's meeting. Guasli Senador Chris Malafunction Barnett. Está adjourned.